So when you start training for the hotter than hell, you need to get acclimated to the heat. And the best way to do that is pick a distance that's half to 2/3 of what your goal is for hotter than hell. For example, if your goal is the 100 mile, get riding 62 mile or 100 kilometer distances. If you're going to do the 100 kilometer, 40 miles. If you're going to do the 50, 20 to 30 miles. So just cut the distance down, but get out there at least once a week and do that target distance in the heat. Ride a couple of times during the week on shorter distances, 10 to 20 miles per evening. That's a great time to ride. You're not in the big heat, but you're also not in the cool of the morning. But if you'll get out there and ride through June and July, when you get into August, you'll want one ride in between what you've been doing distance-wise, say that 100K, do a 75 so that you're ready for the 100. I don't recommend a ton of miles, but I do recommend that you get consistent in your efforts and get out there and get in that heat. When you're doing those longer rides on your Saturdays or Sundays, whatever day works with your schedule, that's the best day to practice your nutrition, your hydration, and your pace or intensity of your pace. Remember, if you can breathe through your nose, you're riding at a good pace. But if you're having to breathe through your mouth, that's not a sustainable pace for 7 hours, which is the average time it takes to finish a 100-mile ride with a 15-mile-an-hour average. So practice your hydration and nutrition during your training rides. When should you start eating and drinking? Before you get thirsty, before you get hungry. You need to start eating and drinking in the first 2 hours of that ride. Don't wait until 3 or 4 hours into the ride to start eating or drinking, because that means you're playing catch up. Don't over drink. In other words, don't slam a whole water bottle at a rest stop. Camelbacks are wonderful so that you have that straw over your shoulder reminding you to take frequent sips of water. Same thing with your nutrition. Those jersey pockets have a purpose. You carry your food in them so you can pull them out during the ride and take a bite or two, put them back in there. I love Pro Bars. They're a very calorie dense but low volume snack, so I can get 100 calories in just a couple of bites. So think about your nutrition and hydration during your preparation and training for the hotter than hell, because when you get to the hotter than hell, it's not a good time to be Star Trekking, to try things you've never done before, or adventure where you've never gone before. You need to stay with your tried and true methods and what you've done. One of the most important things on long endurance rides is avoid the frisky pony syndrome. You know, when we get to that start lane, we're excited, we got the best energy of the day, we got everything going on, and it's pretty common to shoot out of there like a racehorse out of the gate when the start goes. Not a good idea. You really don't benefit from going fast and aggressive in the first few hours thinking you're going to taper down at the end. Because the problem is you burn through too many resources and then you get into overdraft later in the ride. So make sure you eat and drink during the ride. Don't wait to start. Take advantage of those rest stop opportunities to stop, refill your water bottle, grab some ice or grab a snack, but please don't camp out at a rest stop. If you're staying there long enough to rest and recover because you're so tired, your pace is way too high. You need to bring your pace down to more moderate. What I always taught my clients when I was training large groups was, hey, ride 90 miles at your moderate pace. If you've got extra gas in the last 10 miles, burn it up, baby. Get after it. But at the hotter than hell, the last 22 miles is into the wind. So you need to make sure that you save money for that last phase. There are lots of great rides that you can use between now and then, like the Tour d'Italia, or the Tour de Paris, or the Peach Pedal, or the Goat Neck, or the Blazing Saddle 75. All of those rides are going to have big heat. They're even going to have big hills. So when you use those rides to train, 40 miles with a lot of hills is like 62 at the hotter than hell. So don't get caught up in the number of the distance. Think about the intensity of the course and how challenging it is. And all of those rides that I named are very challenging rides because of the hills and the terrain. Okay? Make sure that you are not just hydrated and taking care of yourself in that respect, but that you're also dealing with sun issues. You want to make sure that your apparel is appropriate for the weather that you're going to be in. Some of us like to wear sun sleeves to protect those arms. And I know one of the things I like to do when the heat cranks up when I'm wearing those sun sleeves is I'll grab my water bottle and squirt those sun sleeves and give me a little additional cooling with the water evaporating off the sleeves. Hotter Than Hell's a great ride. They do a great job supporting folks. They've been doing this since 1982. And remember, it was an extreme sport before extreme sports became popular. So don't go out there your first time and try to set a world land speed record. Just try to finish successfully with money in the bank, standing on your own 2 feet, and speaking coherently. Get out there and ride your bike.